define good nutrition.
Join Dr. Gerald Thompson, physician, specialist, and notable environmental conservationist, every Wednesday, 8 to 9 p.m. on VFM 99.9. Joe Health Matters. Ask Dr. Thompson any burning question you have related to health. Your Health Matters. Dr. Thompson will examine healthcare, highlight important environmental issues, and look at what's hot in science and technology and the next wave of emerging diseases and health trends. So this and every Wednesday, join us 8 to 9 p.m. on VFM 99.9 because your health matters.
People's Pharmacy for all your pharmaceutical, skin and body care needs. Located on Grenville Street in Kingstown. They open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Call them today at 784-456-1170. People's Pharmacy also stock vitamins and supplements, personal care items, toiletries, children and adult pampers, and much, much more. And of course, get your prescriptions filled by a friendly and professional pharmacist. People's Pharmacy. Come in today and let us serve you.
All right, good night, Dr. Darrell Thompson. And it's your turn. You're live. Dr. Thompson, I hope you're hearing me. Hello. All right, we seem to, well, Dr. Thompson seems not to hear me.
Your health matters.
How much do you know about what makes up a healthy lifestyle?
Your health matters.
How do you define
Hey, Doc,
good
can you hear me?
nutrition?
Dr. Gerald
Yeah,
Thompson,
can you hear me?
physician, specialist, environmental conservation, every Wednesday, 8 to 9 p.m. on VFM 99.9. Joe,
Can you hear me?
ask Dr. Thompson any burning question you have related to health. Your health matters. Dr. Thompson will examine healthcare, highlight important environmental issues, and look at what's hot in science and technology and the next wave of emerging diseases and health trends. So this and every Wednesday, join us 8 to 9 p.m. on VFM 99.9 because your health matters.
All right, so we're going to just try once again to see if we've got things sorted.
Sorry.
Dr. Thompson, can you hear me?
Kamal, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, but can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm a bit noisy setting. I
Oh.
can't find anywhere quiet. Let me ask something. Am I able to share a screen at all? It'd be difficult,
Yes.
eh?
You can you do it on your end?
You,
Do you
know,
see the
somehow
option? Do you
I
see
don't
the
know why
option
I'm
to
not
do
hearing
so?
you properly. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you good. I can hear you well.
I'm coming across. I wonder what is it? If it's just that I need to turn up the volume or something. Let me see.
You probably need to turn up the volume,
Volume
but
is
we
up.
can hear you clearly, though. We can hear you quite well. We can hear you quite well.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm not hearing you so well. But could I just go ahead like this?
Yes, you can. Go right ahead.
Okay. All right. I'll just have to signal to you during the break. But it's not there's not a big topic today. I was going to deal with something with the environment and so, you know. And hopefully we do it. I wanted to do an open mic, you know, but I don't think it's going to be so possible. Because I'm not hearing the actual questions. You know what I mean? I want to hear questions. You know?
Okay.
But let's just go right ahead anyway. Okay.
Go ahead. You're already live. Go ahead.
Huh?
You're already live. The program has already commenced.
The light is too much, right?
No. What I'm saying to you that you're already live on air.
Yeah, you know, but I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you at all. I don't know why
Okay.
this
But-
space is.
But
It's so
we're
lighted.
hearing you clearly. We're hearing you clearly.
Yeah.
We're hearing you
Somehow
clearly, and you're already live on air.
I might have to go somewhere really quiet. I don't know
Uh,
why it is
Dr.
like
Thompson.
this.
Dr. Thompson.
You want me to try go somewhere else?
No, where you are is just fine.
Huh?
Where you are is just fine.
It's just
It's
fine.
Yes, it's
Okay.
okay. So go right ahead.
Yeah, I honest to God, I don't know why I'm not getting. I wonder if I should speak to you by call you WhatsApp.
The program has already started.
Let me just call you on WhatsApp and we can get
Okay,
a
all
clear
right. Do that.
picture. We could wait just a
Your
couple more
health
seconds.
matters.
How much do you know about what makes up a healthy lifestyle?
Your health matters.
How do you define good nutrition?
Join Dr. Gerald Thompson, physician, specialist, and notable environmental conservationist every Wednesday, 8 to 9 p.m. here on WeFM 99.9. Your health matters. Ask Dr. Thompson.
Oh, so people hearing
People
our conversation.
Your health matters. Dr. Thompson will
Yeah.
examine healthcare, highlight important environmental issues, and look at what's hot in science.
Sorry about that.
And
Sorry about that.
emerging diseases and health trends. So this and every Wednesday, join us 8 to 9 p.m.
Alright.
in BFM 99.9 because your
Wonderful.
health matters.
Wonderful. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, sure.
All right, so we're gonna just go back with Dr. Thompson. Doctor, go right ahead.
Yes, and I want to apologize there. Guess what? I am not in St. Vincent in the Grenadines, but still, welcome to Your Health Matters. I am traveling, and I had expected to have cleared the usual immigration service a little earlier, but it's been busy. Oh my gosh, Miami. So I am here in an area that's going to have a lot of background noise, but the show must go on. And I had wanted to start to introduce at the end of each month a kind of a open mic where a person could just ask a question, not based on any topic that I've been talking about or bringing up, but I am not able to hear things. So I imagine, Kamal, we can do something where if there is a call or so, that a person can certainly still give that particular call, and it could be translated in some way, and I could answer it as best as possible. But this evening, I want to again shift away from a lot of the medical perspective, and still focus on things that relate to life, the environment, and so on. And I want to really bring your attention to the subject of invasive species, plants, animals that come from different parts of the world, whether they were brought to another country, brought to St. Vincent, brought to the Americas, and instead of just being a nice little pet or a nice, lovely plant to look at or serving the purpose it was intended, it really may have wreaked havoc. And I want to just go through some of these and draw your attention to them. But at any point in time, Your Health Matters will still entertain a call from you. So we're doing this remotely. This happens from time to time. And as I said, the show must go on. We were seeking an opportunity how I could share the screen. Instead of you looking at my ugly face, I could show you some pictures of some things that might have been more pertinent to this topic. Now, I want to first of all bring renewed attention to something, a fish called the lionfish. The lionfish. And we've all recently been hearing about the lionfish. And I remember at Fisherman's Day, I had gone out early to try and see how I could find some lionfish, because that fish really tastes absolutely sweet. It's a beautiful, beautiful tasting fish. But it's to understand certain things about the lionfish. The lionfish is actually a dangerous fish, not to so much to humans. It's a fish that's very pretty, lots of little tentacles and so, and it has spikes that if they, prick somebody, have to be handled with care. But that's not the thing about the lionfish. This is a beautiful fish, but it's a deadly ocean invasion. What happened is that these fish, which were being kept in aquariums, they actually escaped. It's felt that during Hurricane Katrina, that a lot of aquariums in the southern states that line the Caribbean border, the Caribbean Sea, that they got flooded out, destroyed, and the lionfish basically were able to escape into the sea. So they were released into the wild by pet owners and damaged aquarium in sometime around the 1990s. And one lionfish, which we call the striped invader, can actually eat dozens of local native fish, especially in the coral reefs of each particular country. And in one meal sitting, they can actually consume literally hundreds of fish and eat, this large amount of fish. The other problem is that they reproduce at alarming rates. And so a female lionfish, they're male and females, a female lionfish lays about 2 million eggs each year. And consider if each egg is then producing more lionfish, and each lionfish after that, as it grows and becomes mature, then produce another 2 million eggs. That's a serious thing. They've reached the outer limits of the Caribbean, in other words, the Windward Islands and so, and they consume a tremendous amount of fish, of native fish, the fish that we catch, the red snapper, the all these kind of things. So that if these fish are not controlled, they are going to destroy the whole fish industry, so to speak. No doubt, they feed mainly on coastal fish in coral reefs, which is where we find a lot of our fish. True trawlers will go out and go into the ocean and catch fish too. Maybe the lionfish is not in those particular parts to that great degree, but the area around St. Vincent, where we have reefs and seagrass and all that sort of stuff, the lionfish is going to be deadly and can threaten your whole livelihood in terms of fish. They say the best way to get rid of the fish is for people to catch them and to eat them. Catch them and eat them. And so I want to stimulate person's appetite. If you get a chance, eat the lionfish so that the fishermen will catch more because they have a market, and in some way we can keep the number of lionfish a little better under control. So the lionfish is a serious problem. Now, a next invader is what we call the giant African snail. This is a slimy invader, the giant African snail. And these giant snails, we call mollusks, feed on vegetable crops and the bark of trees. They can also carry a parasite that can invade the human body and can cause meningitis. The parasite is a type of a worm. And so I'm not talking about a virus and so forth, but it's a worm that could get into your body and actually end up near your brain, in a lining around your brain, and can cause meningitis. It can also carry bacteria called like salmonella. But it's important that everybody knows these giant snails. Now, there's snails in our backyards. There are snails in our backyard, but you don't want these giant snails. I think the other day, down in certain parts of the country, the Camden Park area and so forth, people may have sighted something looking like that. Whether that was the giant African snail, a big team went out and found them and so, but the big thing, are there still more? So if you find big, massive snails that about 3 to 4 inches long, and they just look real large, make sure you notify your Ministry of Agriculture that you see them. Don't allow these things to really get some sort of footing and multiply, where they could just devour a whole set of the products in your yard or in your farm or your field, because they ain't gonna stop at your house, they're gonna go elsewhere. And your neighbor has to know this too, because if he has snails there, they're gonna come over by you. There are some specially trained dogs. I don't think we have them, but we have some experts who could recognize them and know how they're hiding places and so, and we can eventually get rid of them. So getting back to the sea, we don't have these, but a great danger that we have to look at is the zebra mussel, right? This is a real troublemaker. It's a mussel that was located in the tanks and the ballast of boats, and they essentially were just released. They predominantly come from Europe. And when they are, the ships have something called a ballast that they fill up with water and let out water, and this helps to balance the boat so that it doesn't topple over. So if the boat rocks one way, the water goes the other way and helps to stabilize the boat or so. But somehow or the other, these mollusks have been transported in these hidden places in boats and reach over from Europe to the Americas. And then when they get into shallow waters, they might let out all that water. Now, these mollusks that are inside the water then grow in different environments. In Europe, they're there, but they were never really in our areas. So the boats that come into our harbors, if they release these type of mussels and so that they've carried across the Atlantic, well, these mussels could do a lot of damage. They cling to the docks, they cling to the bottom of boats, they cause a lot of problems. That's why these have to be scraped off and so. But you also have to get rid of them, because if you scrape them off, they're gonna go somewhere else. They're gonna occupy some other spaces. So they're very difficult to get rid of, but they cause a lot of problems. And one of the main problems is that they block pipes, and so luckily we don't have a lot of sewage pipes and so going out into the sea, but we really have to be careful about it. The main problem with these mollusks is that they eat a lot of the food that fish also want to eat. So if they are being produced and reproducing in large quantities, they would eat a lot of the food in the seawater. I'm talking about the food that they eat are things like the plankton. You've never heard about that before. Plankton, this phytoplankton. This is what fish eat, small tiny fish eat. So if these mussels are eating up all the plankton, there's not enough plankton left for fish. And so just like the lionfish that's eating the small fish, these mussels are eating the food that the small fish want. And it's just a problem. And this is another example of invasive species that have come into our water. Now, I don't know if this is the same as our toad, but we have a crapple. We have a crapple in our country. It's pretty okay, I understand, but there's a type of crapple called the cane toad, and it has come up. It has been developing. Luckily, it's not in. I don't think it's the same type as in St. Vincent. I've got to double check on that. But at the back of the neck of these toads, there's a poison gland that has venom, and as a form of protection, it releases this. Now, if your pets see a toad and try to catch it, or as dogs and cats might do, they might taste it first to see if it's edible, if they should eat it. But the poison that's been released on the skin can make your pets very sick. Matter of fact, it can kill the pets, right? And children, if touching it, they could also be affected too. Luckily, this type of toad, this type of crapple, is not in St. Vincent. But once again, we have to be very careful as these things are transported in and around the world. And people have to be very careful about that. Now, the next big thing that we've been seeing in terms of a movement is the fire ants. These are real big problem. Fire ants. We have forms of fire ants in St. Vincent. We see these big black ants. We see the big red ants that's in certain wooden areas, in dry branches, and so branches seem to be rotting. You see the red ones, you hit them and they just crawl out, right? And these ants, they work in colonies, so they have special divisions in the ants. They have soldiers, and if you are unsuspecting and these ants bite you, they can give you a very serious thing. These type of ants, there's several types of them. Argentinian ants, ants from other parts of South America, they would have come north in cargo ships. Now, whether or not we have the really bad ones here in St. Vincent, we do have fire ants, and so I don't think we have the really bad ones. So we always have to be very vigilant about seeing the type of ants. We see sugar ants, we see fine ants, we see all sorts of different. There are lots of different varieties of ants, but these type that I'm talking about are not good. They produce these massive underground tunnels and bite anything that comes close to them, and the bites cause welts, swelling, and even allergic reaction. And they can also attack crops. They can also attack crops and electrical outlets and so forth. And the big danger is when there's newborn animals like pigs and goats and sheep. These newborn animals, if they're attacked by these ants, can be serious. Luckily, we don't have it. We got to keep an eye open for them, and it's good for persons aware. Something I didn't know, but there are some birds We don't have them in any serious way here in the Southern Caribbean. But I didn't even realize that in about the last century, the 1890s, a Shakespeare enthusiast introduced some birds into the America, right? Birds that were mentioned in some of Shakespeare's plays. But when you move a bird from one area to another, you have to know exactly what's going to happen with that bird. Is that bird going to stay in a very small flock, or are they just going to explode? And where you now have not dozens of the birds, not just hundreds of thousands of the birds, but millions. And there's a particular bird called the European starling, right? That if you're in Central Park, if you're in America, boy, this is a serious problem. And there's now close to 100 million of these birds, and they're spreading also throughout the Northern Caribbean. They can cause crop damage, right? They feed on things like grain and berries, and they operate in swarms. Now, we don't see this, but in some places you see these swarms of birds. And it looks very, very pretty. I've seen it often in North America, but not so much in the Caribbean. And in the Caribbean, it may not even be the sparrow, either the starling. But they can cause a lot of crop damage as they sweep down. And if there's corn and all this other, we have to keep an eye open for these pretty birds, small, but you have to really watch them. The big problem with them, though, is seeing them around airports. And they've been the cause of a number of plane crashes where the birds, because they're in swarms, they literally get caught up in the engine, and they can cause planes to fail as a serious problem. And so I'm outlining some of these type of things. There's a beetle called the Japanese beetle. There are many of these type of menaces around, different species. But, we've had a lot of beetles around the Caribbean for a long time. And some of them, like this particular Japanese beetle, has a ferocious appetite for vegetables, fruit, even roses and flowered plants. And if it's green, they will eat it. Now, they also produce a larva that starts out on the ground. And this underground larva eats the roots of grass and other plants, and so it may not necessarily be the beetle that's eating the plants itself. It may be the larva of the beetle that's also eating things from the underneath. And one good thing is that soapy water is great in terms of getting rid of these things. Neem insecticide is one of the better things, because some of the other type of insecticides also on their own is going to do a lot of damage. So these things are very serious. One thing we do not have, and I'm glad, because we don't have these massive rivers. Would you believe that fish would have been brought from one area of the world to another area so that people could, catch the fish in lakes? Come on. Can we take a break there now? Come on.
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah, let's just take a little break here just for a second.
People's Pharmacy for all your pharmaceutical, skin, and body care needs. Located on Grenville Street in Kingstown. They open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Call them today at 784-456-1170. People's Pharmacy also stock vitamins and supplements, personal care items, toiletries, children and adult pampers, and much, much more. And of course, get your prescriptions filled by a friendly and professional pharmacist. People's Pharmacy. Come in today and let us serve you.
Your health matters.
How much do you know about what makes up a healthy lifestyle?
Your health matters.
How do you define good nutrition?
Join Dr. Gerald Thompson, physician, specialist, and notable environmental conservationist every Wednesday, 8 to 9 p.m. here on WeFM 99.9. Your health matters. Ask Dr. Thompson any burning question you have related to health. And technology and the next wave of emerging diseases and health trends. So this and every Wednesday, join us 8 to 9 p.m. here on BFM 99.9 because your health matters. Your health matters.
How much do you know about what makes up a healthy lifestyle?
Your health matters.
How do you define good nutrition?
Join Dr. Gerald Thompson, physician, specialist, and notable environmental conservationist every Wednesday, 8 to 9 p.m. here on WeFM 99.9. Your health matters. Ask Dr. Thompson any burning question you have related to health. Your health matters. Dr. Thompson will examine healthcare, highlight important environmental issues, and look at what's hot in science and technology and the next wave of emerging diseases and health trends. So this and every Wednesday, join us 8 to 9 p.m. here on BFM 99.9 because your health matters.
This is WeFM 99.9. We've got 25 minutes moving on to the 9 o'clock hour, and we seem to have lost Dr. Thompson. So we're just going to stand by as we try to regain connection. And yes, Dr. Thompson, can you hear me now?
We're back on.
Okay,
Yes,
great. So we're back.
Again, the challenges of travel. But I was telling you that, and this is not so much related to St. Vincent, but as people begin to travel around the world, some of you may experience this, in particular in the United States. There is a fish called the Asian carp. And when it is introduced to your country, it can live in the rivers. Now, our rivers are not of the size that would be affected by this. But I imagine in the Guyanas, I imagine in some of the rivers in North America, in the southern states, these Asian carps have literally taken over. Now, these Asian carps could be almost 2 feet long, but they, as I said, were imported from the Asian area of the world to put into fishing lakes so people could go and do a little fishing. But no one may have realized that if these fish are disturbed, they literally get very anxious and they start to jump out of the water and cause a lot of problems. Now, what happened is that when they were placed in these small lakes for fishing, when floods came by, the fish literally were able to be be moved out of those small lakes into rivers, right? The water flew out of the lakes as they were flooding and went into rivers. And there they just multiply. Now they have a ferocious appetite. So not only do they eat out all the native fish, but they also have a high reproductive rate. And they have a fair amount of bones. So they're decent fish, but not really the best. But the big issue here is that if they're disturbed or startled, they leap out of the water. Someone on a boat, imagine being hit by a fish. Let's call it a flying fish, but it's not like the flying fish that we see off of Tobago, off of Barbados, jump out of the water. These fish just literally jump, and they could jump into the boat, but if you're standing up, they could hit somebody. And having a fish that's several pounds hit you in the face is very dangerous. So, luckily we don't have these around. Now, there's the whole of vine, and we know these vines as like pudding vine, right? And when allowed to grow, these vines just cover the vegetation, cover the trees, and block the sunlight from getting to these trees, and the trees die. These type of vines are very, very dangerous. They grow at alarming rates. They can take over. They found that the only thing that really can control these things is goats. Having goats that can go and eat down the vines closest to the roots as well. And so the vine is able to dry up. But this is something that we've been seeing here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and land that has been left untended could be overtaken by these type of vines. Certain sections of forest, and so the vines could just start to just grow uncontrollably. And this is another invasive species. There's several other type of beetles, and we here in St. Vincent, we are always worried about a number of them. But something what we've seen in terms of our banana, the black sigatoga. We've seen other diseases that have been affecting our crops, especially in the banana industry, causing havoc with it over the years. And the black sigatoga would have really been devastating, because they really would have that particular needed aerial spray. It needed a lot of environmental control, and it is still affecting our banana industry today, in spite of the banana industry's decline. So we have to really look at now, being aware of the unusual things that are taking place around you, whether it is in your backyard or whether you are a farmer as on your farm. I think the most important thing is that you are able to report these type of issues to somebody. Being able to report it to the agricultural division is really critical, because a stitch in time is going to save 9. And we've seen over the years the ability to control things like black sigatoga, and it's really takes a tremendous amount of resources, personnel, money to do so. Over the years, there's been plants called like elephant grass. Elephant grass was brought here to St. Vincent because they recognized that it grew a lot faster than the ordinary grass. So during the years when everybody had a few goats, during the years when a lot of livestock was being reared, elephant grass was very popular. But as the production of meat locally, I wouldn't say it declined, but as in rural areas, having an elephant grass nearby, you could go and cut easily. As that declined, the elephant grass just continued to spread. And along our roadside, the rate of growth of the elephant grass means that when gangs go out, they spend a lot of time cutting down elephant grass in the rural roads, the roads going into the farms, into the hinterland. Elephant grass is just growing unabated like crazy. That is not an invasive species. So it was even said that the armadillo, which is what we call the tattoo, was brought here as an exchange with other islands for them having greater variety of manikou. Long and short of it is that the tattoo just exploded in a similar way. So yes, the tattoo may also be considered as an invasive species and has its season when people can catch it and eat it. I don't know how many persons like that type of meat. But what I've been trying to point out is that plants, various animals are sometimes brought here thinking that it can do a particular type of job. And instead, they cause more serious problems. But if everybody is aware of this, if everybody is cognizant of this, it certainly will help. So that's what I wanted to focus on today. These series of invasive species and potentially invasive species. Some of them haven't really come to affect us, and some have affected us and are affecting us in a major way. And everyone should become a little bit more aware. You should ask your agricultural officer or your forestry officer that you know, what are the invasive species I should be worried about in this area? Hopefully, they would go along there. Remember, invasive species are not only plants, they're also animals. Big ones we're worried about is big African snail. We're worried about new species of ants. And so coming in, we're worried about unusual birds. You know, birds come in and fly down for the winter. We have Ballysoe, Milligan's Cay, and Kings Hill that are nesting areas and places where birds on the way down to South America just stop off and rest, and so that's fine. But as certain other species might stick around and cause problems, whereas others might be actually good thing to stick around. So I just wanted to focus on this today. And if there are any questions, you know, we can certainly entertain them. I have a little challenge in terms of hearing. I don't know how Kamal is going to alert me of anything. He may put up his screen, and tell me if there are any questions both on this or of a medical nature, and we'll certainly be able to handle them. Kamala, you put up your screen. Let me just see you there, right?
I'm here with you. Can you hear me properly? Can you hear me better?
What's that?
You're still not hearing me clearly.
I'm still not hearing you clearly at all. You know, we are at
Because
8:47. We have about
yeah,
30 minutes to go,
because it
right?
has gotten a little bit. It has gotten a little bit more noisier in the
Okay,
background.
let me say it again. What's again? What's that?
It has gotten a little bit more noisier in the background.
There's a lot of noise.
Yes.
Yes, I imagine that. I'm in Miami terminal, and so so it was difficult to hear me, was it?
Well, we were hearing
Huh?
you, but not. We were hearing you, but not as clear. You had to pay close
Yes.
attention.
I don't know why I'm not able to hear you. It's awful
I
having
don't know. Maybe
my
your
head
volume needs
close
to be
to the.
turned up.
Eh?
Maybe your volume needs to be turned up. Your output volume, your speaker volume.
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what
I,
the
I don't know.
what the um, challenge is. But let me let me let me ask you, right? Um, you you you're more in the IT field, the broadcast communication field, and so forth. I'm conscious, and over the last week, I've been talking to a couple of persons. I realize people are not very much aware of invasive species, of things that are coming into their environment. You asking you, how much are you aware of these type of things? You know, how much are you? I may not hear you properly, but I mean, listeners may well hear you. But I'm curious as to put you a little bit on the spot.
I
How
think
much?
I'm just. I
Huh?
think I'm just about the same as many others, that we don't really pay too close attention to these things until they start affecting us.
Mhm. Yeah, and I don't know. It may not certainly come from this program, but I think that our Ministry of Agriculture, I think our Forestry Department, still also part of the Ministry of Agriculture, the environmental services really should uh, spend a little bit more effort talking about these particular things. A lot of things, they look pretty, they look wonderful, and um, the bugs,
Mhm.
some of them are very colorful. Some I haven't talked about, very attractive, but boy, I tell you, they can do a tremendous amount of damage. And if they set in, they could really destroy certain type of crops. And then sadly, the solution is often pesticide, spraying large areas with pest control chemicals. But these chemicals on their own could cause other problems, especially if it's on an ongoing basis. The way these chemicals, initially they may be said to be safe and so forth, but some individuals, they really can induce a lot of allergies, they can cause other problems. And the pesticides are not just killing that particular pest you that's invading, they also sometimes killing a lot of other type of native species that are part of the food chain. So as you eliminate, it's sad if you eliminate one thing that looks like a pest to you, you may be part of a food chain that um, because it eats something else. So if that bug is no longer around, the other smaller bugs that bug eats, they may start to flourish and develop. So it's a complex kind of issue that we have to know which things are in balance with each other and which things are just exploding because of one reason or the other, whether they've been introduced deliberately or whether they've been introduced inadvertently or what, you know. So,
I-
Kamala, I think this is a bit of an unusual show. I'm really not able to hear much. You say there's a lot of background
Yes,
noise.
yes, I think, yeah, I think we might have just need to end the show prematurely tonight.
Yes, yes, and I'm not even hearing, and I could see in my screen a lot of the lights and so forth. I
Mhm.
looked around for somewhere very nice, but I haven't been able to find somewhere. I've got to really address this whether anytime I'm doing this again. So let me sign off here a little
Yeah,
early, okay?
no
And
problem.
everybody a very well, the Emancipation Cricket. I'm gonna have to follow it online, but I would wish everybody a happy month of emancipation, and really hope that they enjoy the cricket festival, which has my 100% support. All the very best. Good evening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gerald Thompson.
Okay.
Your health matters.
How much do you know about what makes up a